Have you ever undertaken anything that requires patience and persistence? If you have ever tried to play a musical instrument or begun a workout regimen, you know how time-consuming and challenging these tasks can be. Initially, there may be very little success and probably a great deal of frustration. But in time, the hard work pays off and a desired result is achieved. Our gospel reading today from Luke reflects on this topic and about the need to be diligent and disciplined when it comes to faith and to prayer. Jesus' parable about the widow and the dishonest judge reminds us that faith is not always easy and that our prayer lives may not always produce the immediate results that we desire. Faith is a journey, and the goal of a life of faith and prayer is to conform our will to God's will. This does take time, patience, and a willingness to fight through difficulties and setbacks. The widow who constantly questions the judge for a just decision becomes a model for us today, especially a model of prayer. It is not that we are to wear God down by our prayers or to make Him change our mind, but we are to continue in prayer until we gain an understanding of what it is that God is doing for us. In our struggle, God works to purify our minds and our hearts and to bring them in line with His kingdom. In our first reading, we hear from wisdom about God's desire to provide for His people. The reference made today to the Israelites wandering in the desert speaks of God's goodness and of His constant concern and care for His people, especially in the most dire of circumstances. When the Israelites faced the threat of having to cross the Red Sea, God opened it up in their midst. He also never abandoned or forsook His people as they wandered in the desert and struggled in their relationship with Him. Our own lives of faith and prayer are similar to this. Although at times we may wander and stray, God always calls us back to Him. In fact, the Word of God, Jesus Christ, was sent for this very reason, so that we could know our God intimately and receive His love, forgiveness, and ultimately salvation. Our journey of faith is to be one in which we patiently and diligently seek the Lord, recognizing that God is always seeking to give us what we need so that we too can live in His love.